Hey everyone, welcome back. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down what I spend in a month living between two high cost of living areas. Seattle, which is my primary home, and the California Bay Area, which is where I go to escape the rain for a few months during the winter, just like this one. If we haven't met yet, my name is Annie. I'm a Stanford grad and a former startup director, and I recently left the corporate world after building financial freedom in my 20s. I've split this video out into sections that cover how I make my money now and how I spend it in different categories like my needs, my wants, and my investments. I've also included timestamps below if you'd like to skip around to whatever part you're most interested in, but for now, let's dive in. Starting out with some background on how I make my money and where I'm at in my financial journey. Now that I no longer have the 9-to-5, my income comes in through two sources. The first is through investments that I have in the stock market, and the second is through real estate. I try my best to live off just the money that I bring in through real estate, because these earnings have to be taxed as ordinary income whenever it comes in, whereas the money that I make through the stock market isn't taxed until it's sold, meaning that those investments can continue to compound and grow as long as I leave them alone. I consider myself at the very beginning of what you might think of when you hear financial freedom. I don't have to be too frugal right now, but I also can't spend extravagantly. Over the next few years, my goal is to move higher up this pyramid so that I can have more flexibility and invest far more in the people, things, and experiences that I care about. So getting straight into my needs, these are my fundamental expenses that are essentials for day-to-day living. Like most people, my biggest expenses are my mortgage/rent. In the Bay Area, I rent out a one-bedroom apartment that costs $2,830 a month. And in Seattle, my mortgage and insurance is usually $3,300 a month, but I've rented it out while I'm away, so my costs this month are $0. This is my very first year living on my own. For the past 8 years, I've lived with roommates. So while this expense is high for me, it's one that I've been saving towards for nearly a decade. My rent includes trash, water, and a building manager, so electricity is the only utility that I have to cover, which comes out to $45. Service for internet and phone is another $90. And I have a car, but I don't have any payments as I bought it outright in cash about 1.5 years ago. Buying the wrong car was one of the biggest mistakes that I made in my 20s. So this time I did it right and I bought a 6-year-old Lexus that I'll drive until the wheels fall off. Insurance for it is $120 a month, and then gas comes out to $68. I will say when I'm in California, I'm in an area that is very walkable, so I do tend to spend much less on gasoline and transportation when I'm here. For groceries, I spent $185. I mostly eat in with the same few meals on rotation, so I save a lot of money by buying things in bulk, like from Costco. This brings my total up to $3,338 for just my basic living expenses. Moving on to the fun ones. The biggest thing that I splurge out on is my Equinox gym membership, which is $210. Before this, I hadn't paid for a gym membership for many years, but I did add this in a few months ago after spending far too much time alone in my apartment and not having enough social interaction with other people every day. I go at least to one class per day, and I've made a few new friends there already, so I would say that it is money well spent. For my subscriptions, I have Netflix at $15, HBO at $15, Amazon at $12, and the Wall Street Journal at $27. For dining out, I spent $95. Eating out is one of my favorite things to do, but I do generally prefer more like neighborhood, comfort food spots over anything fancy. I also don't drink very often, which saves me a lot of money when I do go out. I purchased a plane ticket to go back home for $112, but I didn't buy any new clothing this month. I try to buy fewer but higher quality items that I know can last in my closet for many years, as I found that cheaper items just don't last as long for me. And I also don't have a ton of space, so I don't like having a closet that's cluttered up with fast fashion, because I find it very overwhelming. So clothing isn't something that I buy frequently, but the purchases do tend to be larger when they happen. And then my final expense in this category was a $30 gift for my friend's daughter's birthday this month. All in, this brings my total spend on wants to $516. And finally, for my last category, investing and saving, this is very easy, coming in at $0. At the moment, I'm not putting any additional funds towards my existing investments, as I've got a fully funded emergency fund and my other investments now covering my basic cost of living. Instead, I'm taking out just what I need for day-to-day living, while I also continue to work on other projects and investments and hopefully get those to a place where they're growing too. So my total money going out this month is $3,854, which if we extend it out to over the year would be roughly $48,000. One of the main reasons that I wanted to build financial freedom in the first place was so that I could have an unlimited amount of time to explore new ideas, interests, and businesses without the pressure of having it cut short by a dwindling bank account. So right now I'm happy with this level of spend, knowing that what it's really doing is buying me time to be thoughtful with where I go during this next chapter. I am curious to hear if you have any questions or if any of this surprised you given what you were expecting. If you enjoyed this video, I'm working on another breaking down how I spent my $105K salary while I was at my 9-to-5 to build up financial freedom so that you can see how much my spending has changed from when I was in a different mode around money, and I'll link it up here when it's live. As always, thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.